So today we're going to go over my photography portfolio, and I just randomly decided to do this today because I have my backpack at home in my closet, and I remembered I had my external hard drive, little bag of tools that I keep all my camera gear in for school. So yeah, that's what inspired this video. Okay. So this is the very first photography class that I ever took in college. And I go to the University of Kentucky, woohoo. And my major is actually digital media and design, and also ISC, which stands for Integrated Strategic Communication. And I like both of them, but definitely more loving digital media. I feel like the marketing kind of stuff just comes second nature to me. So this is more where I get to have fun and like play around. So this is something that we had to do in the first 4 weeks of this class, 4 or 5 weeks. It was like the basics of camera, and we would have to work with like the shutter speed and the ISO and all these different camera functions and lighting and everything like that. So one of the first things that I did was mess around with this lighter. So the one on the left is obviously the unedited version, but I really like to mess around with lighting and color and like vibrancy and things like that and saturation. And I like to make it kind of more of its own world. So over here, it just looks normal. And then over here, it's kind of like, to me, like this little monster guy with an arm and all of that. So then I started messing around with an incense stick, and I lit it and just started to swirl it around like this. And this is something that you do with a long exposure. So that means the lens is open for a longer period of time, and you have to do this in the dark for it to show up like this, like pitch black. But then you can like spell out your name or like anything like that. So I was just having fun with it. And here we have these majestic swirls. And I think this is so cool that you can just capture this on a regular camera. I just have the normal like Canon, they call it a, what is it called? Like a basic lens or lens kit or something like that. So you don't need anything fancy for this. But yeah, you do a long exposure and you can get all different things. So I think this one was the lighter. Yeah, it was. So that's incense, and you can see it's kind of more like licorice in a way, like bands and ribbons. And over here, it's more like sharp and liquidy and glossy. Like right here, it kind of looks like water droplets to me in a way. And you can tell like that's like the lighter fluid and all of the flame moving around. So it's super cool to do stuff like that. And then here was another one, just like a random messy, and you can actually see like the movement that I moved the little incense stick. And it's just awesome. I don't know. I love art and studying like the lines in it and the shape and like just what it does to you emotionally and how it impacts you. So, yeah. And then this was just my iPhone home screen, just moving it around. And you can kind of see this like figure eight right here, as well as side to side. So that's that. And then here we have just me waving around some incense sticks and catching like the movement of them. And then this one was just something that I color corrected. These were just like regular ass colored lighters. And then I kind of switched them up. And I just think it's super cool to see like the size and the perspective and kind of what it does, because these look more like life size and right in your face, you know, but it's obviously a small lighter. So this one was super fun. This is those LED light strips that you hang in your room, you know, get the mood lighting going. So I just experimented with different colors. And for example, like this one could have been pink, but then whenever you see it in a camera lens, you see it comes out blue, purple, turquoise, yellow, like pink, red. You get to see all these different tones come out because the camera just captures color better than the human eye can, like the lens does that. So, and then here are, okay, I think okay, never mind. Um, so here were just some more of those on the left side we have blue, and on the right side, I'm not sure what color I did because of the cool effect. But anyways, there's those. And then here we have the red ones, and these ones are super cool. And the thing that I love about like analyzing photographs is the mood of it. So over here, to me, I kind of see like a person, like this arm, these two legs right here, and this is like his spine. So like these little loops right here, that kind of implies a form is standing there, right? And then all of these different lines surrounding it, they're kind of spaced out, and it's, to me, he's kind of like engulfed in these lights, this person is, right? So that's just what it does to my eye personally. And over here you might say like, oh, it's a person like dancing and spinning around, and these like ribbons are like flying in the air. Like you can just, I'm trying to show you guys that you can make art whatever you want it to be, and it's not a forced thing. It's just like how you naturally feel about it. So you can make a story up in your head about it, whatever. It's super fun. And then right here I have my little pouch that I was just talking about. I keep my camera equipment in there, and it has, I think it's like an Audrey Hepburn quote. Yeah. But then here again, we have the LED strips. But what I think is interesting is if you focus on like depth of field, you can see like this object does not look the same as that at all. So yeah. And then this, I just decided to include, this is my Instagram before I deactivated it. I haven't had Instagram in over a year. Like I never go on Instagram. So this was just kind of like a moment in time where I was inspired by these purpley tones and the blue tones and kind of like the majestic like world of that. So this is just like a Pinterest board thing. Like I pulled a bunch of different images and kind of meshed it together to make a certain mood. And then the next project is surrealism. And surrealism is kind of like a dream world. That's what I like to think of it as. So for this project, I went out with my camera at nighttime, and it's actually pretty difficult to photograph at night if you've ever tried it. Like it's harder for things to show up, obviously. And also you really can't have your camera shake at all because it will not come out clear because there's no light. Like the contrast makes it like you have to have it perfect, right? So I brought my tripod with me for some, but then I decided I'm just going to freehand them. And then I figured out that I actually really enjoy this. So that's kind of what inspired this. Open sign. I went to this ice cream shop. And then this is the Krispy Kreme donut sign. I think that's so cool, like the angle of it, and just like you normally wouldn't look at the sign from this perspective, but I like to show these like different, really tight, focused in perspectives. And I really like this reflection right here, like the mirrored effect and these like little dried water droplets. And there's just so many different details that you would never see. And I think it's cool to capture that. This one is my favorite freaking photograph I've ever taken. I love this so much. I want to make a print of it and hang it in my house. But this is the ice cream sign as well, like the cone, the little scoop, and then this says ice cream right here. And I love neon. And like in this moment, whenever I started taking these pictures, I'm like, okay, I love this. Like this is my style that I want to do, right? And here's another perspective of it. And then now we are going to talk about bokeh, because bokeh is like my favorite thing. Really, just anything related to nighttime photography is like my kind of vibe. I just love the nighttime, always have. I feel more alive and more creative at night. So that's why I like to capture this kind of stuff. So here we just have some bokeh. And the really interesting thing about bokeh is it's kind of like a game. Like you start off here and you're like, okay, like that's cool. Like where am I at? Can I pick up on these shapes and tell like where is this? So for me, this would be like, okay, maybe it's a window because of the shape, right? And then this might be like an open sign or something. So then you get to see it from a whole different perspective. And maybe you can guess right now what this is, but maybe you can't. And I think that's the really cool part about this kind of photography is you get to create this story. And then here's another view of it. So if you kind of backtrack, it's really cool to see like the progression of just how different something is solely based on how you look at it and how you want to photograph it. So this was just this vape shop, Cloud9 or something like that. at my hometown. And then here is like the little pavilion, and here's the storefront entrance, and then there's like some other shops down here. But basically, like, depending on how tight in you get with your bokeh, like the more zoomed out it is, it's less like you can tell what's here. And you can like literally see, okay, that's a trash can, that's a pillar, that's whatever. But then the tighter in the bokeh gets, you start to lose the image. So you can work with that however you want. And then here, my brother has a gaming computer and this like cool light up keyboard. He's got this whole setup, like 3 monitors, microphone, like it's legit, right? And I went downstairs and I was like, okay, like show me your stuff. Like this looks cool. And it has to do with like lights. So I want to take pictures of it. And then on like the reason this is pink is because he has those same LED strips on his little table or whatever. And then here is a close up of this beautiful keyboard. I love this picture. I really want to get into selling stock photography. Like, I think this would totally be like right up my shit. And then here is, I'm not sure the exact terminology. I am not educated whatsoever in that kind of thing, but maybe a motherboard would be my guess. So it's like these mini worlds. I don't know, like just, it looks like a little city to me. So I really liked, then this could be like the highway, you know? And then here's another angle of it. This one was super fun as well. And I just like kind of you see the keyboard over here. It's like you pick up little pieces of context from these other pictures. And then together they kind of tell this story. So, and then here's this one. I love this one. There's so many different colors coming off. And the reason why this is this way is because this is just, I believe there's green on it and silver. I'm not sure about any other colors, but I asked him if he could go on his computer and turn on like chill vaporwave music or something like that. And this is a whole aesthetic. It's like these neon bright, vibrant, warmer colors with like hints of that like blue. So that's that. And then here's the little setup that he has. Next assignment, I decided to continue on this theme because this stuff was just like my warm up with it. This was the first time I ever did something like this. And then now I intentionally decided like I'm going to go out and take pictures of neon signs and things like that. So in Lexington, there are some cool neon signs. There's not that many that I personally know of, but I live right by this Hearts dry cleaner. So the thing about this is before it was not these colors at all, but whenever you go into the post editing, post production, you can actually go in and change these things, and you can change the tones and you can make them look like out of the ordinary and like psychedelic kind of. And I just really like to play around with that and kind of see what tones come out naturally whenever I start messing around. And there's no science to it at all. Like I can make a video at some point like showing how I edit pictures. I think that actually would be kind of fun. But anyways, for now, I'll just show you what I got. Here, so this was taken like at night still. But out here, it looks like daytime because of the way I edited this. I definitely will need to make a video because I feel like it's not an easy thing to explain in words exactly. But like this is pretty much the same within the same hour. And then here is another nighttime one. And I really liked this kind of like gender juxtaposition and how in the middle it merges to purple a little bit. It's just like a really cool theme. And I love how this smooth surface reflects light and it adds color to the scene and adds color to the ceiling. And I'm just very intrigued by that. And then this heart, I just did the bokeh really tight. So then now it's like less, what do you even call it? Sharp. Okay. And then this one was super fun. I think I had a long exposure going and then I moved my camera. So then it dragged it a little bit and it made it bounce. So the thing about the camera lens is it like literally records like how you're doing, like what movements you're making with your camera. So you can actually see in a picture even in daytime, or if you move it left to right, like you could be able to tell based on the way that these bands kind of like expand outward and move. And then here's another one. It's very like alien-ish vibes and just very psychedelic, but it's the exact same heart that I've been using this whole time. So I think I just like to distort things and really blow them out of their like normal context. And then this is a liquor store, and I actually edited this so that this background, you can maybe see like this line right here of the building. But the way I edited it, you can't really tell much, and this is the focus. So this Ernie's Spirits store, this liquor store down the street from me, that is what we got going on. And I really like the angle and like playing with the lines and things like that. And then this is the exact same liquor store. You see the turquoise color there, and then the turquoise color up here. And then there was I think there's a smoke shop next to it or something. So there were some cool little lights, or the liquor store has some cool like flamingo lights. So that's why you see the pink. And then this is so like, to me, it's like high art, high fashion. Like, I just love this one. It's very satisfying because how simple it is. But this is actually a sonic car hop little section. So this is like the covering part of it. And then these are like the drive-through screens. So like you would never know what that is though, without me telling you. And I think that's the really cool part about art as well. And then we got little mama with a skirt and her boots and her little hat. And she got a little something going on here. So you can tell, okay, maybe it's like some kind of bar. And then you see that it is the tilted kilt. So I think that is like way more beautiful and way more, it's just like more special, and you don't get to see it in that way. So I like to make that happen and then intensify it and make it more of like this experience, like this neon, bright, fun, kind of like New Orleans vibes. And then now we're going to talk about my creative photography class. This was my second photography class that I took, and I chose to take this because I really enjoyed the first one so much. So then we're going to talk about me playing with colored light. I realized that, okay, I'm just obsessed with colored light. This is what I'm doing. So I would check out these little, I forget what they're even called, but basically it's like a cellophane, a colored cellophane type of vibe. And then you can hold it over a light or over the lens, and it changes the color of the entire picture. But I like to mimic that with a oil diffuser lamp. So the oil diffuser lamp, you can kind of see this shape right here, this like white shape. That's the thing. And I set it to purple so that it could make everything in that little area purple. So this is a giant coffee mug. And something I wanted to talk about is like where you place an image on the frame. Like this is very satisfying because of this line right here, the way it reflects, and just like the placement, it looks so nice, and it goes from corner to corner. And then this one looks a little bit wonky and off, and it's not as pleasing to the eye because there's no line at the bottom. Like, see the difference? This one just doesn't feel as artsy or as intentional. And then at the very top, there's black right here, and it's the darkest color on this whole thing. So your eye draws up there first rather than settling in a nice spot here. Like this is more relaxing. And then this is the big cup. I've never had a mug this big before. I just bought it because I like the quote on it, and it was from Target, but it didn't look cheap. She was just cute, right? Kind of reminded me of Anthropologie. So it's just super fun to mess around with that. And then you get to see like the door was cracked open right here. And then I had a candle going, or my, what is it called? My salt lamp, my Himalayan salt lamp. That's what this is. And then I love this whole like indistinguishable thing. Like, what is this now? Okay, well now we know the light's here, the smoke is coming out here. What is this? Like, kind of looks like a skull. And then you back up and you get some more details and some more context, and you see, oh, it's a Yankee candle. That's just great. And something that I really like to do, you can kind of see it here, but I like to work with mirrors and have reflections. So to me, I like this because it's like this candle is reflecting the mirror and looking at itself, but there's something else next to it. So you could look at it this way, or you could see it as like they're all in a group, like looking at each other, having a stare off. So you can kind of like tell that dialogue and story yourself, and kind of, it's just interesting. I don't know how to describe. And then this is such an uncomfortable, like raunchy picture, but it is a banana. And I just took this because it's like, I'm trying to think of the word. It's like the opposite of what aesthetic is. Like, it's just like very uncomfortable and like not nice to look at. So like this piece right here, like I don't like that part on a banana, but here I am highlighting it and bringing it to the front of the frame to you. And you don't normally look at it in that way, but it's like staring you down. And then over here, it's kind of like, might be like the body, right? And you're looking at a body from an aerial perspective. So there's lots of different ways that you can kind of dissect these and look at them. And then within the same class, we did this was our very first assignment, in addition to playing around with light, a product photo shoot. And we had to stage it and use a infinity wall, which is just like basically a long piece of paper that you can like hook up in a photography studio or whatever, like yearbook day growing up. And this is just a black poster board though. So he would show us, our professor would show us the like tips and tricks and all this kind of stuff. And then we would go home and put it into practice. And then here's another oracle deck, tarot deck. That was kind of my theme. And then relaxation, like love the texture, love the angle. It's not very conventional, but that's why it catches your eye. It's more like artsy. And then same thing with these, like they just look soft and smooth and just like beautiful. And you can see like the fun names. This is one of my favorite photography assignments that I ever did. And basically we just had to take a camera out and shoot once during the daytime and then once during the nighttime, but at the exact same location. Basically what it does is it just changes the overall mood of whatever you're doing. So during the daytime, I decided to go to this park. The sky was absolutely beautiful. It was such a nice day. So I think I'm just going to flip through these and then maybe talk about them later so that you guys can kind of like have a chance just to look at them, Okay, so I thought these were super fun because I got to use a mirror, and I thought that was such a great idea, and I just kind of wanted to test it out and see like what I could capture. So this is actually pretty cool. I'll just walk you back and tell you a little bit about kind of the storyline of everything. So first I started off at the play structure and started getting really tight close shots, and then I realized I really enjoy this like bokeh in the trees. It's very soft and light, and I just really enjoyed the way that that looked. And then I decided to play around with that a little bit more. And here I really like this slide picture because it reminds me of a book, like grabbing a big book off a shelf, like in a library, like a lawyer's library. You know what I'm talking about? Just a certain type of encyclopedia kind of spine. And then I really enjoyed the texture of this rope and just all those little fine details on there. I really like that. And I loved the freaking wood chips. Oh my god. They looked like little sandalwood or little something at the beach. I really liked that. And just messing around with a mirror and seeing all different angles that you can get and just different ways of looking at things. And I just was at the park for like 2 hours in the light, just messing around with everything. Then I loved this section. This vibe is kind of more like grungy and dingy in a way, but like a good grungy dingy. So we got this like warm toned, cool toned mixture. But this right here is actually a makeshift tennis court. So you can actually like play tennis with yourself. And that was pretty neat. It's just super, I really like to see like the way that nature interacts with these surfaces that are man-made and just kind of how they're coexisting together. Same kind of concept with the little grass. It's all like there are these little creatures on the ground living in their own world. Like they're all standing tall, hanging out. So yeah, here you go. This is like the tennis area. There's two sides and they're identical. And then here there's a deflated balloon. And then this was interesting. I actually took this through the mirror, and then I decided to kind of like go out a little bit. And then now you see the edges of the mirror instead of using the mirror. And then here's another one. And then I love how you can kind of like capture the story of other people without talking to them. You just kind of observe. And this is my way of like documenting playfulness and family. And then just seeing these little textures. I think this was a turtle shell. And then I love the glow of these leaves in the fall and seeing that on my skin. That was nice. Yeah. And then I think I took this one through the mirror also. It looks like it's not though. I intentionally did it though because I didn't want to just like point my camera at these people and take pictures of them. But I'm sure me taking pictures of the mirror looked creepy too, but you know, whatever. And then this is just like the inside of one of the play structures, and I like how I added this filter to it. And then here we have portraits. These were super fun, just like playing around with the light and the shadow and making a little set. I had this beanbag for her and like 3 pillows, and then brought her poster down and then brought my little light in here. So there's that. And then it in black and white. I just love the way that light picks up on shiny points, like the natural highlights. And I actually desaturated this one, so I took out a lot of the color in it except for the pinks and the blue tones. You can see this yellow was all washed out. This one was one of my favorites that I ever took of her. Just this outline on the face, and the arm is so satisfying. And I love this like fluorescent white kind of look and the little shine right there. And then I decided to change it up a little bit and not have her face lit up and just kind of have these lights. And then I like this. It looks like she's watching a TV screen on like an old TV in like a grandma's house kind of vibe. Here we went to the beach for fall break, and I just decided to have her do these other portraits for me. It's really neat to see like the different color, like the way color affects the mood of the photo. I love that. That looks so tropical and fun. This one was one of my favorites I took of her, just like the shape, and it kind of just reminds me of like an old Hollywood like glamour shot kind of vibe. And then here's her with these columns. Fun stuff. Okay. And now for tarot cards. This one was my final project in this class. And I really wanted to do this just like for myself to challenge myself. But basically, I chose 6 cards that I thought applied to my life at the time. And then I wanted to buy fabric and like recreate the scenes. So the plan actually didn't start out that way, but I realized very quickly I can't be buying like these real items, obviously. Like I can't go buy props. So like what's the next best thing? And I didn't want paper, and I thought fabric might work nice. So that's what we did. And then I just decided for the final image to do all of them in black and white. So that's kind of the cycle that you're gonna see. And then you'll have like the before and after thing going on. It was so tedious. Like this literally took hours and hours and hours and multiple days. And I think each one would take at least a day to do, like to build the set and like get all the details right. And then I very minimally used Photoshop. So like the highlight on this column and like a few of the highlights on here are Photoshopped. Same with this. And then this one I did at home. So this I did in Lexington, and I had my whole like studio loft apartment. I'm actually going to link that video down below if you guys want to check it out. It's like the best creative space I could have ever asked for. Here's this one, and you can see the trees over here. Like it just looks like little measly dots. And I didn't want to cut out every single freaking thing on here. So I just kind of makeshifted it. So here I used tulle, and there's like certain details right here that I covered up a little bit. And then the lovers, oh my God, this one was very fun to do. There's a lot to go into it. And I was like, okay, well, I only have one person, and I guess these are self-portraits. So let's just dress up as all these different people. So here I was being the little like angel, whoever that is. And then I decided to be the girl. Woohoo. And this made me feel like I was in some like Kanye West shoot, you know, like the nude on nude outfit and all that stuff. Like that was super fun to do. And then here's the man. I literally just wore like this little set from Urban. And then I had like one apple and this like makeshift snake. It was made out of fabric. Every single thing on it was made out of fabric except for like certain details. And then I just went in with Photoshop and did these lines just to add some more details to the card and draw on what needed to be there. So then I did the world, and see, like it would take legit so long to do every single detail. So basically you can see I have a form and like a template kind of laid out. So then after the fact, I can go into Photoshop and make it more of this like environment and shrink the body so that it's like on a card. And I think it looks super clean and nice without all of those little creatures. And then Queen of Pentacles, this one was super fun to do. Makeup looking bomb AF. I'm just gonna say it. I know y'all were thinking it. And then last card, the star card. This one was super hard to do. My knees were legit dying. So many bruises, oh my God. And then I just did some tulle, and I glued some tulle inside of these little pots, 99-cent pots, did some tulle on the ground. But then I didn't like the way that it looked, so I added some more like foggy, misty texture in Photoshop for this. Okay, so that is our presentation, and I really appreciate you guys for sticking through this whole video. I know it was a lengthy one, but I hope it's worth it to you, and you found some stuff that was inspirational and fun to look at, and maybe you're gonna go grab a camera and get going. And I really hope you do, because it's very fun. And you kind of just get to be in your own world and travel around different places. And the cool thing about photography is you don't have to literally travel to do good photography. Like you can find everyday objects and make them seen in a different way that makes it look like you went somewhere else, if that makes sense. And the cool thing about being able to take all these different art classes is you get to experience each one, but not super in depth. So you're not like committed to something if you're not enjoying it. For example, graphic design, I despise graphic design. I am not good at it. I do not like Illustrator. I don't like that stuff. And because I was able to take this class for just a semester, I wasn't stuck in graphic design. And photography, I liked the first one, so then I could add on and take another photography class. And then in the spring, I think I'm going to take darkroom photography. So basically you get to figure out what your passion is. But the cool thing is you don't have to decide. You get to do a little bit of everything and figure out what exactly it is that you do like. And that is beautiful.